Were you expecting neighbors today?
Yes, they are coming a little late. They used to come around 4 hours.
Okay. Vilken tid ska jag starta föredraget igen?
Ja, ungefär 3:30, men vi får se när folk kommer kanske
Okay.
lite, ja,
Right.
ungefär den.
Thank you so much.
You are starting with Kirtan or should I go to?
Should I just put it on somewhere?
Yeah.
Or, okay.
Just feel free if you like to come a little more close.
I feel very far away. Yes, thank you.
Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Bol, Hare Bol, Hare Bol, Nitai Gaura, Hare Bol. Jayo Jayo Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashoda Nandana Raja Janaranyana. Yashoda Nandana Raja Janaranyana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunya Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunya Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunya Vihari.
We are still waiting for somebody, or no?
There comes some more. And yeah,
Okay.
they can be there.
Good.
It's okay.
So, welcome everybody. So at this point we should speak something little from the revealed scriptures. You know, there are different ways to get knowledge, and a very common way is to get knowledge through the senses. What we see, what we hear, etc. Feel, smell, touch, and taste. But when it comes to spiritual knowledge, it's not so easy. It's said in the scriptures, Ata Shri Krishna Namadi Nabhaved Graham Indriya, that you cannot know the transcendental absolute reality, namely Krishna, by these blunt material senses. But in a very mysterious way, Sevon Mukhe Hi Jiva Dao Swayam Eva Spuratyada, that when you do loving devotional service to please Krishna, to please God, then He reveals Himself. He opens your eyes. You know, Oma Gyanati Mirandasya Gyanangena Shalakya Shakshur Unmilitam Yena. So we're going to read from the scriptures, which is revealed knowledge about the Supreme Absolute Truth. And I picked a verse today for the theme. The theme was no more unhappiness, or something like that. Yeah, no more unhappiness. Yes. Microphone. This. I have to be closer. Sorry. Okay. Hare Krishna. Oh. It's different. Okay. So I will read from the Chaitanya Charitamrita today, Sanskrit verse, from Madhya Lila, chapter 20, text number 119. And it actually has to do with today's topic, no more unhappiness. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, the verse is spoken by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Sanatana Goswami. It goes like this. Bhayam dvitiya bini vishatasyat ishadapetasya viparyayo smriti tanmaya yato buddha abhajetam bhaktyai kashesham gurudevatatmam. The translation. When the living entity is attracted to or attracted by the material energy, which is separate from Krishna, he is overpowered by fear, because he is separated from the Supreme Personality of Godhead by the material energy, his conception of life is reversed. In other words, instead of being the eternal servant of Krishna, he becomes Krishna's competitor. This is called viparyayo smriti. To nullify this mistake, one who is actually learned and advanced worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead as his spiritual master, worshipful deity, and source of life. He thus worships the Lord by the process of unalloyed devotional service. Purport. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 2, Text 37. It is an instruction given by Kavi Rishi, one of the 9 saintly personalities called the 9 Yogendras. When Vasudev, Krishna's father, asked Devarishi Narada in Dwaraka about devotional service, it was mentioned that previously King Nimi, who was the king of Videha, was instructed by the 9 Yogendras. When Sri Narada Muni discoursed on Bhagavat Dharma, devotional service, he indicated how a conditioned soul can be liberated by engaging in the loving transcendental service of the Lord. The Lord is the super soul, spiritual master, and worshipable deity of all conditioned souls. Not only is Krishna the supreme worshipful deity for all living entities, but he is also the Guru, or Chaitya Guru, the super soul, who always gives the living entity good counsel. Unfortunately, the living entity neglects the Supreme Person's instructions. He thus identifies with the material energy and is consequently overpowered by a kind of fear resulting from accepting himself as the material body and considering paraphernalia related to the material body to be his property. All types of fruitive results actually come from the spirit soul, but because he has forgotten his real duty, he is embarrassed by many material consequences, such as fear and attachment. The only remedy is to revert to the service of the Lord and thus be saved from the material nature's unwanted harassment. Bhayam dvitya bini veshata syad ishad apetasya viparyayo smriti tan maya yato buddha abhajet tam bhakjai kayesham guru deva tatma. When the living entity is attracted by the material energy, which is separate from Krishna, he is overpowered by fear. Because he is separated from the Supreme Personality of Godhead by the material energy, his conception of life is reversed. In other words, instead of being the eternal servant of Krishna, he becomes Krishna's competitor. This is called viparyayo smriti. To nullify this mistake, one who is actually learned and advanced worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead as his spiritual master, worshipful deity, and source of life. He thus worships the Lord by the process of unalloyed devotional service. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharani Nirvishesha Shunavadi Pachatcharesha Tarani. So what is the greatest fear that people have today? What are they most afraid of?
Death.
Death?
Yeah.
That's a good answer. Because we understand that we are not this material body, we are eternal. And then when somebody tells the eternal person, that you will die, you will stop to exist. That's a very, very strong contrast. And people have this fear buried in themselves because of the misidentification of the body, because obviously the body has a beginning and an end, and it goes through different phases. Dehinosmin yatade kaumaram javanam jara tatade hantara praptir dirasthatranuyate. Somebody who is actually in knowledge is not disturbed by all the changes that the body go through. You've been a small boy or girl, you've been a youth, you've been an old person, and then the body stops functioning. At the Tata deha antara, anta means end, deha means the body. So dhiras, one who is sober and realized, tatra na muhyate, is not disturbed. So originally we don't belong in this world. That was the classic response from Srila Prabhupada when somebody was asking him, why is there so much suffering in this world? And he said, this is because to remind you that you do not belong here. So that's why there is suffering, because where we come from, the spiritual world, there is no suffering. Suffering is something negative, something painful, something that we try to avoid at all costs. There's even a whole philosophy focused on the minimization of suffering. Anyone knows what that philosophy is called? Buddhism. Buddhism is very much into minimizing suffering. Now we come from a place called Vaikuntha. Vai means without, and Kunta means anxiety or fear. Vaikuntha. And now we are in Kunta instead. We are in fear and anxiety and suffering. So in Vaikuntha, everybody's happy. Between Vaikuntha and suffering, then people are nothing. They are liberated. Liberation means no suffering, but it also means no nothing else, basically. You can experience a kind of satisfaction, a relief, like, oh, I'm not suffering anymore. This feels so good, for a while. But liberation is just like halfway to our real element, happiness. So we are in an environment of unhappiness. And when we are in an environment of Vaikuntha, there is no more unhappiness. So to start from the beginning, in the Vedanta Sutra, first chapter, it is said, Ananda Maya Bhyasat. Ananda means constant, uninterrupted enjoyment, happiness. Ananta Maya Bhyasat. Everybody's looking for the happiness energy, that energy that makes you happy, including Krishna. He also looks for constant happiness. And as we know, one can feel some happiness and satisfaction from unconscious objects for a while. Oh, I got this beautiful harmonium, how nice. But that kind of wears off. But if you derive happiness from a relationship with another conscious being, that change, because there's a free will there, and you never know what people are going to do next. They will surprise you. In order to make you happy, they come up with some surprise, and in order for you to make them happy, you find out some kind of surprise for the birthday or Christmas or something. So life is much more exciting when you surround yourself with conscious living beings. Even if it's a dog or a cat, they do far out things too. You know, anyone who knows how it feels like to have a pet, or you know. So the consciousness is important. In Brahman realization and liberation, there is not this kind of interaction. You're basically free from suffering. So, because everybody, including Krishna, is looking for more and more pleasure and happiness, at one point he manifests himself as innumerable living entities, which, just like him, was Sat, eternal, Chit, conscious, and Ananda, full of bliss and searching for bliss. And also Vigraha, they have a form. So, you know the verse Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachit Ananda Vigraha Anadir Adi Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. So, even though Krishna is one without a second, and he has a form, and he is a person, and he is Sat Chit Ananda, eternal, full of consciousness, and full of bliss, of happiness. He is still the origin of everything. In the Vedas it said, Nityo Nityananam Chetanas Chetananam Eko Bahonam Yovidadhati Kamam. That out of all the eternal living beings, there is one unlimited, powerful living being who is maintaining the existence of all other living beings. That's the meaning of the name Narayan. He's the maintainer of all living beings. Narayana. So Krishna is the infinite living person, and all of us are the infinitesimal living beings. Like the analogy given in the Vedas and given by Srila Prabhupada is like the sun who is radiating the sun rays. So we are like the small sun particles of light that are emanating from the sun. Or another example is the fire. The fire is burning and there are some sparks coming up, small sparks of fire, and that's us. We have the same quality like the sun, or the same quality like the fire, but we are not the fire or the sun. So this is what philosophically called the simultaneous oneness and difference, but it's not possible to understand with our limited intelligence, right? So this is us and Krishna. And the interesting thing is, why did Krishna become many? So it's, so to speak, bahusyapt. He wanted to enjoy pleasure in so many different relationships with other persons. Loving relationships based on attraction and based on demonstration of love, practical demonstration of love. So for the love to be pure and authentic and genuine, it cannot be programmed or mechanical or robot-like. It has to be spontaneous, you know, just like surprise, that kind of relationship. And that necessitates free will, because free will manifest as spontaneous love in its real condition, but there is also a chance that the living being will not use his free will in that way, but figure out that maybe I can just enjoy myself, you know, and this is our mistake in the spiritual world, that we kind of forget that we are here for Krishna's enjoyment. And when Krishna enjoys, because we are part of him, we enjoy automatically. So that's the whole secret. We were talking about this some other time, that when you do something for somebody out of love, and that person becomes happy, then automatically you become happy because you please that person. Sometimes we say it's like watering the root of a tree. If you do that, all the leaves and branches, twigs and trunks will get nourished by the water. So Krishna, he wanted to enjoy the pleasure of so many relationships and so many varieties like that. So he wants to have pleasure, we want to have pleasure. And when we misuse our free will, Krishna says, okay, you can try and enjoy separately from me. I will give you a whole extra world to do that, the material world, which is a transformation of Krishna's original energy. The word Maya means transformation of his Chit, or the Para Shakti, the supreme spiritual energy. So we end up here, and we are given different means or bodies that we can use and try to enjoy. But there is also other aspects like old age, disease, death introduced, so that this place is not really where we belong, and at one point we can realize that. So what happens is that from the point where we leave the spiritual world, we get covered by different layers. This is explained in the Taittiriya Upanishad, one of the old Vedic scriptures. These layers are 5 in numbers, sometimes explained like 6, but we go for it's called Pancha Kosha. It's like you have, now we don't eat onion because it affects our meditation mood, but you all know how an onion looks like, or we can use cabbage maybe. There are many layers. You peel an onion, you have 1 layer, 2 layer, 3, and then you come to the core. So Krishna has many powers. Parasya Shaktir Vividaya Shruyate. So one power is called the Prakshet Atmika Shakti. That is a power that pulls us down from the spiritual world and puts us in the material world. And then there's a second energy at work, which is called Avaranatmika Shakti, that covers you, that makes you forget your spiritual form, make you forget Krishna and the spiritual world. So these two energies cooperate and make ourselves ignorant. For that reason, knowledge is so important. Spiritual knowledge is so important because that can prompt you to engage in devotional service. So the outermost layer, like the coat in this world, that's called Anna Maya. Anna is Sanskrit meaning, actually it means grains, like wheat and rye and barley, rice, Anna Maya. So that means eating. That's the first layer. We have to give fuel to this body. If you don't eat, then the body will die, and then you can't really do anything in this world. Annamaya. So it explained that this is the physical, the material body, the physical layer. And it is sustained by food. You can't really have a body unless you eat. So this Annamaya is concerned by our flesh, bones, blood, and bodily fluids. That's the Annamaya. A little baby is just fixated with the mother's breast because here is food, like this. So this is the limited consciousness. However, after some time, the next layer, that's called Pranamaya. Prana means vitality or life, like the subtle veins or arteries in the body with streams of consciousness. They're called pranas, life airs. There's something called prana yoga. You work with your breathing, but there are subtler channels here. The nadis are propagate prana, vitality. Maybe that's what I mean by nerves or something, I'm not sure. But that's the energy layer, the energetic. I'm alive. There is more to life than food. So I'm alive. Pranamaya. Huh? So it governs all the life processes that involves energy, such like breathing, circulation, digestion at an energetic level. And it's also closely associated with the breathing process because it's the mover of the energy channels, the prana. And then comes a more subtle covering called Manomaya. Mana means the mind. We have 4 gross elements: the solid, liquid, gas, fire, and space. Bhumir, Apo, Analo, Vayu, Kam. And then you have 3 subtle: the intelligence, Buddhi, the mind, Mana, and the false ego, Ahankara. So mind is the seat of our preference, what we like and what we don't like. So the mind is all the time looking for pleasure in the material world, accepting and rejecting, This is a nice person, I want to be, or this is no, I don't want to be. This is the function of the mind. So that's the mental layer. Sometimes we say people are on the mental platform. And Arjuna says in the Bhagavad Gita that it's more difficult to control the mind than it is to control the wind. So a lot of yoga process is aimed at controlling the mind. So that's the mental layer. Mind, emotions, nervous system, and it processes the thought, feelings, memories, and that's also where the most cognitive activities take place in the mind. This is all common for conditioned people. Most people you meet on the street, they're simultaneously on the Annamaya food platform, the vitality energy platform, they're doing things, and the mental platform. So that's basically body and mind. The 3, mind, body, and soul. But then the 4th layer is becoming really interesting. It's called Vijnana. That means wisdom. And Vijnana is something required for you to break out of these layers. Vijnana you can get from studying the books, from hearing, from realized souls, getting spiritual knowledge. So that's, one can call this an intellectual layer. And it's at this point some systems divide Vijnana and Jnana, and then it becomes 6 layers instead of 5, but I'm not going to go into that now. So here they speak about Vijnana, which is basically both knowledge and wisdom, realized knowledge. Because you can learn things, but that doesn't mean that you actually know it to be true. But Vijnana, that's a platform which is called the wisdom layer. Beyond the reactive mind always reacts. This is not nice, react by repulsion. Oh, this is nice, react by attraction. But beyond this, on a higher platform, you find the intellectual or wisdom layer, Vijnana. Jnana means knowledge, and when you put V in front of a word, it enlarges it. Just like Prabhupada said, that people who identify with the body, thinking that they are doers, there's ahankara, vimudatma. Muda means donkey or ass, donkey. So vimuda means big donkey. So we understand that we are not the body and we don't do these things. So this is the wisdom layer. And if you can go through that, then you come to your original platform, which is called Anandamaya. Anandamaya. The energy of the Lord, which is full of bliss and happiness. And through working yourself through those other 3 layers, the body and the life energy and the mind, you come to the realized knowledge. that's where you can really start to transcend this material nature. You can understand, for example, that Krishna is non-different from his name. So if I chant his holy name, I will be on the Anandamaya platform constantly. I will be in touch with Krishna, with Ram. Ram means the source of all bliss. You will be in touch with Nitya Ananda, the constant eternal happiness. So the spiritual layer, that's actually who you are. It's just, this is the platform of the soul. You can't come any higher. When we do Harinam Sankirtan, Krishna, his holy name, is no different from him. It is the rasa vigraha, is the form of spiritual relationship. So when you chant Hare Krishna, you immediately are situated in the relationship with the supreme pure, the supreme blissful personality of Godhead. So you can immediately transcend all these other platforms. You forget about the body, you forget about the life airs, you forget about the mind, you even forget about knowledge. You're just situated on a spiritual, transcendental platform by chanting Hare Krishna. So the Ananda Maya platform is the state of ultimate bliss and joy that comes from the soul itself and the super soul from Krishna. And this is not happiness coming from external sources. It's coming from you. It's coming from just like an electric lamp. You have it switched off, it's not plugged in, there's no light. But you plug it in the wall, switch it on, and then all of a sudden there's light because you have contact all the way to the powerhouse where all the electricity is generated. So the happiness is generated from within, from you, from the super soul and from yourself. And that's the joy of being connected with the realization of your true self and your true self's relationship with the supreme true self. So Anandamaya is the climax, a culmination of spiritual practice, where one experiences profound peace and bliss in the qualitative union with God, with Krishna, or the ultimate reality. It is beyond all dualities and beyond the sense of individual false ego. So this is described as being very close to the soul, to the Atma, Jivatma. And achieving this platform of Anandamaya is the same as being enlightened, self-realized, the ultimate goal of the spiritual path, being engaged in devotional service by pleasing Krishna. And then you establish that relationship which gives a certain flavor, anticipation, joy, expectation, and from that relationship comes the ultimate happiness. So if you're firmly established in Krishna consciousness, if you actually enjoy every second that you are on this platform, then you will not fall down to the material world again. And that is the perfection of life. There will be no more fear and no more anxiety, no more unhappiness. And that's the nice thing, because it's also always available. You know, we see the devotees that carry around this bead bag, which is an aid for meditation. One uses beads, japamala. Anytime, you can just pull it out. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And you're there. If you chant with focus and attention, You immediately connect with Krishna. So, what makes it easier, because as beginners, it's not so easy to switch off the material world, the external. So therefore we need a situation that is supportive. We need to be in an environment where things work nicely, where people are doing what they're supposed to do, their respect, honesty, cleanliness, all these things. And that's why Srila Prabhupada, he started off by giving knowledge to people so they understand that yes, I'm not this body, and there's God, I'm a part of God, and I'm supposed to be a servant of God. So that's the first stage of knowledge. Simultaneously he gave Harinam Sankirtan, the chanting of the name, that cleanses the heart and boosts the whole development of spiritual life. And then he opened temples and farms and preaching centers so that devotees have some place to meet, like this place. We say birds of a feather flock together. So we meet and we have a good time talking about Krishna, singing his name. And then he was also giving initiation, a spiritual initiation, so that the congregation could expand. So it was all according to Prabhupada's plan. But the last part, he said, was not completed. And that was to establish a social system that created some order in society. That is called the Varnashram system, or actually the Daiva Varnashram, because Daiva comes from the word Deva, or divine, meaning that the society is supporting from underneath every citizen that tries to come closer and closer to God. So there has to be some organization and structure, and we can see in today's society that all these things are dissolving gradually. All the simple dharmic principles that you find in all religions. You have spiritual laws and rules and regulations in Islam, Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, all spiritual paths. They have rules. But in a society, these rules are being broken one after the other, more and more. Infidelity, dirtiness, dishonesty, and cheating, and all these things are going on. Seems like purposefully dissolving the last remnants of Dharma. So along with chanting Hare Krishna, along with studying the Bhagavad Gita, the Srimad Bhagavatam, like this, we also want to establish a practical and structured environment that is supportive, different kinds of education to people so they can take up professions within a framework which is supposed to be supporting a peaceful practice of spiritual life. That's the Daivi Varnashram system. So this is very important, because trying to practice spiritual life when there's complete chaos in a society, anarchy, and all the traditions are being dissolved. Nowadays, it's becoming the norm that, a man is a woman and a woman is a man, and then I can identify as a teddy bear or as a, God knows what. Everything is dissolving in society. There's always been what we can call natural deviations, and that should simply be accepted, tolerated, and dealt with properly, with respect, but we can never make it into a norm. For example, in this world, there is a need for constant supply of new bodies, for new material bodies, and they don't rain from the sky. Like when it comes to the mammals, for human beings, they have to be manufactured inside the body of a female. So for 9 months there is something growing, and then at one point it's time to deliver, and out comes a new body with a little soul inside. And if the manufacturing of that body would be something unpleasant and something that the mind would reject, nobody would be interested. So Krishna, by design, made the manufacturing process as something enjoyable. It feels good, so let's make a baby. Of course, nowadays people want to have the enjoyment, but they don't want to have the responsibility. So they figure out different way to continue enjoying the act of procreation, but not willing to take the responsibility for pregnancy. So this is part of the society today, of propaganda, and nobody's to blame really but the asuras, or highly materialistic and evil people that try to control this world and brainwash us to think that this is all fine. But it's not a natural arrangement. So part of Dharma is to follow some simple principles, that you don't take intoxication, you don't engage in illicit sex life, you don't eat meat and slaughter and kill innocent animal, and you don't cheat and gamble like this. Things that don't have directly so much to do with coming closer to God, establishing a relationship, but it's coming up to a more kind of spiritual platform where people do what they're supposed to be, and there is a minimum level of moral and ethics in the society. So this part, Srila Prabhupada didn't have the time to establish. He started by creating a number of farms which were supposed to be self-sufficient, because that's also a strength, that you can produce your own food, you can produce your own milk, your clothes, you can build your own houses, you can create your own energy, so you get everything you need without being dependent on a demoniac or evil state really that wants to crush its citizens. But nowadays we are becoming more and more dependent on the food supply, logistics, about rental apartments and living facilities, high interest from the bank, and energy supplied from some place that just raised the prices everywhere. So it's becoming a very hard time for the conditioned living human beings to survive, to provide only for the Annamaya platform, just for the bodily platform. It's very hard. So Prabhupada's point of making Krishna conscious farms was basically to make it possible for people to save time so they can chant Hare Krishna. You grow your own food, you build your own houses, you make your clothes, you do this. Live simple, because simple means you don't have to fear losing so much. If you have a lot of property or possessions or a lot of money, whatever, people are constantly in fear that somebody will take them away one way or another. But if you live very simply, you get whatever the body needs and you grow it yourself, it's a very peaceful situation. You're fully in control of your own Annamaya platform, so you can move on inward instead of letting companies or... Of course, during the time of Maharaj Parikshit, Maharaj Yudhishthir, it was different because, and what to speak of Lord Ram, everything was supplied very nicely in society under the supervision of a devotee, king, or Lord Ram, or Parikshit, Yudhishthir, etc. So we didn't really have the same impetus to create farms, so we can not be dependent on this weird system that anytime they can stop making toilet paper, and then people, what am I going to do? So you have the power to make your own toilet paper, or wash it by water, which is more environmental. Anyway, so, but in those days the government was godly. It was Raj Ram. It was governed by Narayan, Lakshmi. You had knowledge. The kings were Raj Rishis. They knew. They were all on the Vijnanamaya platform, Annamaya platform. So they knew exactly what to do and what not to do. But we are not in that condition today. We are crushed by an ignorant and evil-minded, corrupt government. They don't really see to the benefit of the citizens. They see to the benefit of themselves. And they totally stress us out with all these things. Stress, and suffering, fear, anxiety, and all that. So we need this, and we are looking into ways how we could gradually establish a sane society where people are actually happy, happily striving to develop the relationship with Krishna, not having to stress to shield themselves from all nasty influence from, entertainment industry, from art and literature, from the educational system, from, all these areas are surcharged. Even with small children in school, they try to brainwash them into all this stuff about sexuality and transgenderism. Even on the primary school level, it's many parents are starting to react on these things. Why don't you let the children be children? And soon enough they will have to enter into the adult world of all these complications like this. So we need a sane society, and in that society we need to chant Hare Krishna to purify ourselves, to get the spiritual power required. So in this way we can be without fear. It's very simple, really. So I don't know, maybe I got over time a bit. Is there a comment or a question? Yes.
I mean, such a wonderful lecture. You have really gone from, the bottom, from material, higher and higher, and to realize that we are souls, It was really wonderful. Even if we don't understand everything, but it will affect us. What you say will affect us. We will understand, realize. It was really nice.
Hare Krishna. This is all come from Srila Prabhupada's teachings, and the acharyas, and a little bit about my own personal realization. As I used to say that, when I was in, let's say, Tuva's age, I could look myself in the mirror and kind of, charming, handsome. Nowadays, I look in the mirror and says, oh my God, whew, I'm lucky I'm not the body. Like this. It's very easy as you grow old. So this is, life does something to you. When you age, you may lose your opportunity for material enjoyment gradually. The hearing goes down, and you somehow get tinnitus, or you lose some of your sense of smell. Beautiful flowers, but I don't know how they smell, or taste, and teeth fall out, and all these things that comes with old age. But there is also a certain kind of wisdom, provided you haven't burnt out your body by too much sense gratification, because otherwise you will just sit there like a vegetable and just angry and bitter and smoking, and there are many people like that. But as a devotee, like your good self, spending like 30-40 years trying to realize Krishna, realize yourself, getting old, it's kind of a payback. You get some wisdom from this over the years. So the recommendation is just stay with the devotees, associate with devotees, read the sacred scriptures, chant Hare Krishna, take prasadam, and enjoy spiritual life. Yeah? Hare Krishna. I believe in this. I'm trying to make a school, just for your information, and I think maybe specifically the Indian community will like this, because I've seen over and over again Indian parents come as young to the West, because it's tough sometimes in India to make some good money and like this. On the other hand, coming here, we realize that everything is much more expensive. If you compare it to the countryside, at least in India, where you can still live pretty nicely, but the big cities are basically becoming a carbon copy of, London or Paris, or not much difference if you go to Mumbai or Delhi, or a little difference, but you still have temples in the cities, but it's imitating the West. But you come here, and then you make a family, and then your children grow up in this environment. And you realize, oh my God, they don't get much of our old culture. And then after a few years, grandma, grandpa comes and says, hey, what you're doing? And your kids can't even sit cross-legged on the floor. Like they're getting disappointed. You gave up our culture for, and in one sense, it's true. In another sense, not. But I think that if you have a school where you can make young adults, like postgraduate, get a vocation or profession which makes them able to make a living, earn their own money, get their own house, buy their own food, buy their own clothes, because that's the way life is. Your children are going to be independent one day and say, okay, thank you, mom and dad, good, now I have my own life. This happened to my kids, 33 and 28. We still have a good relationship, but it's not the same like it used to be. Now, it started off by me and my wife alone, and now it's basically me and my wife alone. But there are some other bodies generated and living in another city. So, if these adults can get also the spiritual part, that they are anchored in spiritual life, knowing Dharma, and behaving accordingly, then that's a great advantage, because they don't get so unhappy like all the other Western kids. They're caught up in all these trends and fads going on in society. So this is what we're trying to do, is to see if it's possible to create an educational institution where children can get a profession and also get trained in Dharma like this. And the old system presented in the Bhagavad Gita, we have like a science program for the teachers, for the priests, for the people who are into science and knowledge. You have a leadership program that's basically for the Kshatriyas. They know how to direct society and conduct it properly, serve and protect. We have an entrepreneur program for those who want to make business, for farmers, for bankers, businessmen and women like this want to start a company. And then you have a professional level where you learn a craft. You become a specialist, like a technician or a craftsman or woman or something like this. This is traditionally called the Shudras department. They're the labor, the whole foundation on which the whole society rests. So we're going to try and have those 4 programs, and starting hopefully in September, going to be online and physical. So some of the aspects of the education will happen physically, and others will be online.
Where? Physically where?
I'm negotiating with Alvik. We also still have Bumi's farm, and we have a place like this. One can also meet sometimes. And I have some friends in a village in Portugal who are more like the Brahmana Kshatriya type that could receive smaller groups, like 6 or 10, over a long weekend or a week. They could have workshops down there and maybe some relaxation and swimming and having fun.
Will you hold this?
I'm forming a small team of, let's call it Brahminically inclined people, because you need a head also on this project. Because if we don't have a head on this project, then it's not going to happen. So we need a head in society, and that's pretty much lacking today. And it's the politicians and, sorry to say, but democracy, well, there are worse systems, but basically it's more like the dictatorship of the ignorant masses. Whatever the politicians say, vote on me, I give you lower taxes, vote on me, I give you free alcohol, then the people, yes, I'll vote. If you look at the programs today, it's just nobody has any knowledge. It's just ignorance in politics. So the politicians have replaced the head in society. Very few people actually know something about reality, about life, about the goal of life. So we need to train these people first. The scientific people, those who are the protectors of Dharma, This is required, and I believe we can find some good candidates amongst our own people, devotees, amongst the Hindu congregation. There are some really smart people out there. Maybe they are like, 9, 10, 11 now, but one day they will be 18, graduate from gymnasium, Because not only is the schools teaching a lot of nonsense, they also make it compulsory. If you don't go to school, you can go to prisons. You're forcing your kids. Other countries, they can homeschool. I know many Indians, like in Finland, for example, homeschooling is allowed. They can teach them some Mahabharata, some Ramayana, some Dharma. It's fine. Parents can do that. In Sweden, no. It's like Shanda and Amarka. You can learn in economic development, sense gratification. This is the only thing they teach in school. Srila Prabhupada used to call the schools a slaughterhouse of the mind. The more materialistic the schools become, and then they start teaching all this, they teach all kinds of deviations in the schools as well, make it in a norm.
Spiritual suicide.
Huh?
Spiritual suicide.
Yeah, spiritual suicide. And I think if I had small children today, I wouldn't want to send them into school like this. We have to look carefully. So if we can make our own, and we know how to do that with the approval with the authorities. They don't want to have any religious school. No. Like, we shouldn't have any Muslim school, no Hindu schools, no, Christian. So, but there are other ways to go about it, to do it. So we are working on that, and I think it's going to be successful. Because then you get both. You get a profession, and you get a meaning of life in one package. You get the old culture, then grandfather, grandmother will come, and they will be very happy. See, they're learning this in school.
It will be interesting
Yeah.
to see this.
Yeah, I know. This is going to be my last project in this lifetime, so then I will, give up. If it works, it works. If not, then it. So it's on a very
You can just sit there. If it doesn't work, you can sit just and meditate.
Yeah, it's better to try to do something, and then if it works, then maybe Krishna wants it. If he doesn't want this, or maybe doesn't want me to do it, then he will allow somebody else to do it. But
Maybe you are planting. Doesn't matter.
yeah, we are planning. Yeah, we are planning.
No, planting the seeds.
Yeah.
The idea is there.
And we do cooperate with some big names in ISKCON also who has been into this for years. Some swamis, they are very happy and give blessings and advice. But this,
I mean, to go to
Yeah.
Portugal over a weekend sounds good.
yeah, of course, that's the part everybody likes. Anyway, maybe I should keep it secret because it's stated in the Vedas through that you should not speak about your plans. But on the other hand, if I don't speak about it, nobody knows about it and nobody can support it. It's not going to be a one-man show. We have a small team of smart people. We have one young devotee who's been studying the Sanskrit language for 2 years full-time. So like the classic Vedic Sanskrit, which is the actual carrier of knowledge. So this is very important. And then he's also very good on philosophy. And so he's a very Brahminical person. He can do yagyas, Griya Pravesh and Namkaran, Vivaha, all these things, which is part of all culture, Now, when people come from India and maybe they give up Janmashtami and started to celebrate Christmas instead, why should they do that? We have a much superior culture in India. I never liked Christmas, even when I grew up. You just get drunk, you give presents to everybody else except the person whose birthday is supposed to celebrate Jesus, So everybody else gets a present. And then somebody's, in a drunken state dancing around some tree. We do that too, but that's Tulasi Devi. There's not some fir. Those with the sticks are considered to be actually quite bad trees. They're good for making wood and firewood and stuff. And then they eat the back or the, what do you call it, of the dead pig,
Pig head
Yeah, they put the pig head with an apple. So this is all kind of old Scandinavian heathen tradition that people are following more or less by autopilot, but without any. When you go to Ram Navami, we had Krishna Janmashtami, you actually know this is the appearance day of God. It's very meaningful. And you speak about God and you sing about God and you do sacrifice for God. It's very meaningful. But then this Christmas or Easter, everybody's eating a lot of eggs. Okay, fine. Dressed in yellow. And yeah. So this is, why do we do this? Yeah. So we should stick to the old culture. I mean, it's integrating is fine, but giving up the treasure. Prabhupada was once asked in the UK by a reporter challenging, why you come here? You know, we have our own church, we have our own book, Bible, we have our own tradition. Why do you come and want to introduce something new? And Prabhupada, very smart, he said, you know, for many, many years you came to India, you took a lot of wealth, took away, you know, the Kohinoor diamond and all these things, and you brought to your country. But you forgot the most precious treasure, and that is the Vedic knowledge. Now I've come to give it to you for free. You don't have to come and steal it, you know. I'm giving it to you. So that's the real treasure of India. That's the Vedic library. It can give people liberation, give them Krishna Prem, and free them from this place of unhappiness and suffering. All right? Is there anything else? No? I'm happy because you're all already on a good way. You know, it's like we're heading for Gothenburg, but we're not in Malmö. We're like in Halmstad already, a good way on the road. So just continue. Krishna says, in this endeavor, there's no loss, no diminution. Even if you become a millionaire or the Pope or President of Russia, everything is finished when the material body is finished. But what you do for Sri Bhagavan will always be there. It attaches to the soul. So it's very comforting, very comforting. It will never, ever be taken away from you. You just do 1% this lifetime, everything's finished. Next life, you start with 2%. You don't start from 0. So, Nityam Bhagavata Seva. That's right. All right, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai.
का स्ट्रीम बंद कर देते हैं क्या?